Akainu versus Garp at Marineford. If it went down, who would have won and why? Welcome back to Conqueror's Haki Corner. I'm your boy Serge. It's the boy Vim.
Yeah.
It's the boy Rooks.
What's happening?
And we are here to bring you our account, our reasoning, our debate, our thoughts as to who we think would have won this battle. Now, we are big fans. We follow other YouTubers. We read forums. We're online all the time, just like you guys. And we know there's Team Akainu. He's the superior admiral. That's why he ended up being the fleet admiral. Definitely was the strongest admiral out of everyone. And then we've got Team Garp. We've got the believers that Garp is a god amongst the Marines.
The Monkey D Garp, the
Monkey
hero.
D. Garp.
The man who clashed with rocks.
Well,
Jeez,
so
come on,
just
man.
to set the context for this discussion, it is what would have happened then, but we're going to use everything that we know about each one of them, some of the things we've heard about them, some of the things that we've seen them do in the context of the story, and we're going to try and weigh it up, and then we're going to let you know what we think, and we want you to let us know what you think.
We'll talk about the personalities. We'll talk about their power levels and influence as well, because all of these things are a factor to them being such a big entity and potentially could have been clashing.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's start. Let's dive in, and we're going to start off with Monkey D. Garp because he's the hero of the Marines, and some of the stuff that he's done has just been crazy. So, without a doubt, we know that he was a rival of Roger. So, we know this because when we had the Ace flashback at Marineford, Roger himself looks at Garp when he asks him to take Ace, and he says, "Me and you have almost killed each other many times." Now, it's a subjective view, and how far you want to go with that, as to whether that's Roger acknowledging him as an equal, whether he was really able to kill Roger, whether Roger was really able to kill him. But we know that they belonged in the same conversation. Just on that alone.
Their fight would have been to the point where they both were hurt and they both were in a dangerous position. So for them to understand each other's strengths, you only learn by clashing fists.
And on top of that, you gotta ask yourself this: why would a man like Roger, the Pirate King, the guy who achieved the greatest goal, he obviously wants his son to be protected. He's got a guy like Rayleigh.
I was gonna say,
He's got a guy like Rayleigh, but you want Garp. Now, yes, it could be because Garp's on the inside with the Marines, he can protect him, but it also could be just down to pure raw strength. What do you think? Second thing, when we got to the New World, Indris Rosa, we got the flashback when he had the clash with Don Chinjao. Take him through it, man.
Now, what does Garp do to train? I mean, I hit the gym, I push a couple weights, you hit the bag, but he is punching mountains. Mountains. Not no Mickey Mouse, man. He wants the big boy mountains. He's punching them up, and he goes up to him and says, "Yeah, I punched about 7 mountains just to make sure that I could hit you hard." So as he touches him, one whack, he knocks his pointed head straight down. Now, this is what we need to remember. Don Chinjao was very proud of his head. His head was the strongest piece, most valuable piece to him. It could crack anything with one hit. Getting knocked down with one hit by Garp.
He was a famous pirate in his time.
Yeah.
He's a King's Haki user.
Yeah.
And got one shot him.
One shot.
No, that's what happened. That's what we saw. No, I'm not lying. This is fact. He one shot him. Now, it goes more specific when you talk about Garp's abilities, man. Like, Garp is a guy. I have to pick my ear. Sorry, I don't care. I'm not shy. Like, Garp is a guy. He has no devil fruit.
Yeah.
He has fought with some of the fiercest devil fruit users.
Yeah.
And he's just a master of Haki. Now, before we get into that, which goes on with this, he refused the title of Admiral. Kong, the head of the world
Chief of Commander of the world government.
He is offered him the title of Admiral many times. We know why he turned it down. It's because he wanted to be free, didn't want to be directly under control of the Tenryubito. But the fact that he was, they wanted him. So that's how strong he is, man. They wanted him to be an admiral, so he's at least at that level. Marco the Phoenix in Marineford. Marco the Phoenix was a guy who was the first commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. He clashed on level footing with Kizaru, with the Aokiji. He held his own against Akainu at the time as well. Like, as a crew, it was never really directly one-on-one because Akainu was gunning for Whitebeard and he got his damage in. We'll get to that. But Garp comes out of nowhere when he's going to the platform to rescue Ace. and he one-shot spanks him into the ground with the Fist of Love, man. Now, the biggest thing to take into account of that is he can use Haki, Marco the Phoenix. His ability of his devil fruit is to heal himself. Like, there wasn't really anyone at that point in the war that really and truly hurt him. And God genuinely hurt him to the point where it was taking him time to heal. The other side of that playing devil's advocate is, at the end of the day, he caught him off guard. He didn't expect him there, so we got to take it with a pinch of salt.
But you've also got to remember, if you're in a war zone, you can't be off guard. There is no letting your guard down in that aspect as well.
So he trains Marines. He uses no devil fruit. At one point, Aokiji was indebted to him for saving his life.
Yeah.
Now, Aokiji may have not been as strong as he turned out to be at the time, but he looks up to him.
Definitely.
Recently, we had the revelation in chapter 957, which was the Battle of God's Valley, where we found out that Garp, along with Roger, tag teamed to take out the Rock's crew. Rock's Dijabek, who apparently was the force of the day, guy who wanted to rule the world. Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki the Lion. Those are just the people we know, and there were other names as well. But just of those people we know, look how strong these dudes are. Now, granted, they did say that Kaido and Big Mom weren't as strong back then, but their latent potential as people that could use Conqueror's Haki, and we know, you know what? Big Mom would have been a beast already, because as a kid she was smacking up giants, and she was already an adult when she was in the Rock's crew. And mind you, may I say that she looked damn good in that silhouette. He helped take them out.
But here, please continue.
Again, the whole concept of Garp's achievement is subjective again. It's how much did he do by himself? What actually went down in that fight? I would like to believe there was 50-50 between him and Roger.
But even then, regardless of what he did by himself, he was still someone who people wanted to avoid because they didn't want the headache of dealing with Garp at that moment.
And he was on the winning side and he fought.
There you go.
And they would have had other help, yes. Rayleigh would have been there, other members of the crew, but they would have won and helped. After that, we know that he spawned Dragon, who ended up being the world's greatest criminal. And if there's genetics, then you know he must have got it from somewhere. He raised Ace and Luffy, who ended up becoming fierce pirates. And he says to Luffy when he used Conqueror's Haki, you've inherited it. So although we've never seen Garp use Conqueror's Haki, don't even question me. And then, you know, defeated Shiki the Lion with Sengoku.
Took him out.
And another thing just to add, at Marineford, Whitebeard gives him respect. He doesn't call him a brat. He doesn't call, he talks to him almost as if he's an equal. It's like he remembers the God's Valley incident. He must have held a punch.
That punch.
Because from Marineford, Whitebeard was disrespecting everyone. Akainu was a brat to him. Aokiji was a brat to him. Kizaru was a brat to him. But Garp wasn't. And they're roughly the same age. I think Garp's a little bit older. But there was that mutual respect. Again, subjective. Is it because they're both old? Or is it because he remembers God's Valley? I don't know.
You got to also remember that was one incident, but Garp isn't someone who doesn't pursue pirates unnecessarily. So when he goes after you, you'll remember him clashing you regardless. So if he runs into you, he's not going to let you go.
Well, you either avoided him,
yeah,
and if you didn't avoid him and you had to fight him, you couldn't beat him because he's still about. There you go. But let's dive into Akainu. Now, Akainu, no doubt, is hella strong as well.
Definitely.
Now, he is a low-gear devil fruit user off the bat. The guy has the Magi no Mi, the magma fruit. And we saw what he caused at Marineford with that fruit. He's Admiral level, he's now Fleet Admiral, but we're talking back then, so we're not going to talk about where he may have developed now since then, because as Rayleigh said, the flower of Haki blooms in battle. So no doubt, I will say, off the bat, before anyone goes, he's stronger now than he was then. But this is talking then. He ended up being Fleet Admiral. He took off part of Whitebeard's head in the war. Now, it's also, again, this is how you want to look at it. In the anime, it's just a mustache. In the manga, a part of his head is gone. He killed Ace.
Yeah, he did.
Hate him for that.
He did.
Respect, man. He killed Ace. He ended up defeating Aokiji for the title of Fleet Admiral. They battled for 10 days. He took Aokiji's leg and he spared his life. So he could have killed him at the end of it. He chose not to. But take that again, subjectively, it took you 10 days. Like, they fought for a very long time.
And that's where, when we're talking about Garp and Akainu, would a battle last for 10 days? Would it go on for that long? So it's all about making sure we understand what we really know about Akainu, again, as fierce as he is, as relentless as he is, you're facing Garp, who's faced a lot more fiercer characters.
Yeah. We're going to get to the end of that. We're going to summarize certain things about the abilities. The ultimate punk hazard to the current state of war is half of the island is like a volcano that's erupted. No confirmation, but I'm going to throw it out there. I think to be Fleet Admiral, you're going to have King's Haki.
Yeah.
Again, it's not been confirmed of any of the Admirals having King's Haki, but I would
can't question
they
it.
do.
Yeah.
Now, on the disclaimer side of things, I'm not saying I didn't give any disclaimers for Garp, other than you could say he's old, but we don't know that. It hasn't been really shown. At the war, he was stopped by Shanks.
Okay.
Stopped. Point blank, he didn't want it. Even though he hurt Jinbei, he didn't manage to kill Jinbei when Jinbei was protecting Luffy, because Jinbei wasn't really attacking him directly. He did really bad up the Whitebeard pirates completely. However, one of my favorite scenes.
Jeez.
When Whitebeard got serious, Whitebeard beat the hell out of him. It didn't last long.
No.
So I'm saying it didn't take no 10 days. And this was an injured, wounded, old, dying 77-year-old Whitebeard. Battered him. Now, we also know that he only has superiors in Kong and the Gorosei.
Yep.
So he's quite high up. Now, let's analyze the abilities. One probably can use all of the three shades of Haki, but on top of that, he has the Logia Devil Fruit. Garp, on the other hand, is pure Haki.
Yeah.
What is your opinion in respect to when we compare Devil Fruits versus Haki?
Me personally, I think it all depends about who the individual is and how they confront that situation. A Devil Fruit user is using something that's extended of what they already have. If they don't use it well enough, how are you going to stand up to fight anyone anyway? And I'm going to bring it back to, let's go back to the very beginning of Luffy's flashback when he was a child. He had a Devil Fruit. He did not know how to fight. He kept getting beaten up by Sabo and his, and I'm saying just that as an analogy to apply it now. Garp has no Devil Fruit, but the guy knows how to scuff. He knows how to, he trained for a fight with Don Chinjao by scuffing out, by punching the mountains. He knows what to do with himself to train his body to a certain point to fight whoever's in front of him, regardless of what the Devil Fruit may be or can be, potentially.
What's your take? It's when you in the relationship between the importance of a Devil Fruit and Haki. How do you see it?
Right, so it's a difficult one. I can agree with what Vim said on the wielder. It depends on who's got it. Because at the end of the day, if you have a Devil Fruit and you're great at Haki, you're just the ultimate at the end of the day. But usually when natural human nature, when you have, just say you had a Devil Fruit, it's more than likely you're going to focus more on the Devil Fruit and not focus as much on Haki. So that's where I think people would usually tend to fail. So it really just depends what I believe anyway. It depends on the wielder. And you could be equally as strong. It's not very common to have someone who has a Devil Fruit and is amazing at Haki. I think there's usually like a sacrifice.
I'm going to put it into context of what I directly believe. And I think as the story progresses, we're going to learn the most important thing is, I think Haki supersedes Devil Fruits. And I'm going to explain why. Devil Fruits are amazing abilities, especially certain Devil Fruits. I mean, Whitebeard, strongest Paramecia, the stuff that he could do with that, but he couldn't affect people that can use Haki. Do you understand? Context. Rayleigh versus Kizaru. That scuff. Rayleigh, no Devil Fruit.
Analogy, brilliant. Yeah.
No Devil Fruit, drew blood. To the point where my man probably, at the time there's no context, but I could imagine that for him to fight Rayleigh, he'd have to imbue his light when he made it into a sword with Haki to be able to physically hit a sword. To the point, Haki, we were taught, neutralizes Devil Fruits. Rayleigh taught that to Luffy.
Yeah.
He said, if you want to hit Logia users,
You have to use Haki.
you have to use Haki. Now, another context, Zoro versus Picard.
Yeah.
One has a Devil Fruit, amazingly strong. One has none.
I went back too far. All of these are great examples.
No. One had cut him in half.
Yeah.
My Haki is stronger than yours.
True.
It doesn't matter what your Devil
Yeah.
Fruit is. Another context, Shanks and Akainu.
Yeah.
However you take it, before that moment now, people will say Akainu was tired, he's been fighting a war, Shanks just got there.
Yeah, no
All
way.
I will say is this, until Shanks got there, he was ready to continue fighting.
Yeah.
Shanks got there, didn't want it. He didn't want it. This guy's got one arm, and it's not even his good arm anymore. He sacrificed it. One arm stopped him. Context, another thing. People will think, well, how would Garp getting close to hit someone that's magma? If you clad yourself in full armament Haki,
You walking through that.
Magma will walk through
through
it. So ultimately, Haki supersedes Devil Fruit. Devil Fruit's a great addition. It adds context into the battle in regards to strategy at that level.
Yeah.
However, it's a battle of Haki.
And you say strategy, we'll give you an example of strategy. Doflamingo, Birdcage. Again, very strategic, very demanding of his own Devil Fruit, but it brings people to a point where they can't get out. So as a strategist, his Devil Fruit worked perfectly. But again, was his Haki strong enough at that point? No, because when we went to Gear 4...
Context though, Devil Fruit will allow you can change the surroundings.
Yeah.
You can use it strategically to make people kind of fight your kind of fight. And also you can make someone have to use more Haki to defend against it, which will drain them stamina-wise, which is the argument. Garp is old. Would he have lost because of his age?
Now you've got Conquerors, which we have all supposedly learned and understood about. That it changes your surroundings because it believes in you. So the world comes into your favor as a conqueror.
One thing to add for Team Akainu, Oda did say in an interview in 2018 that Akainu is so strong that he could reach Raftel in a year and obtain the One Piece.
1 year.
But this was said after the time skip. But just to put it into context again. So, there you have it. Those are the analyses. And we're now going to go around and we're going to say who we think would have won.
Yeah, cool.
And why. So, I'll set it off so I'm not always going last. I'm going to say personally, if they had a fight at that point, I think legitimately Garp would have pounded the hell out of Akainu. The reason why I'm saying it is on the premise that Haki is important, especially now with everything we know, the kind of people that Garp has fought and won wars in, and just the parallel between that moment where him and Whitebeard looked at each other, and also the fact how Whitebeard smashed up Akainu. I honestly do not believe that Whitebeard was any stronger than Garp, and that's my personal opinion. My subjective approach, I think at that time, definitely Garp would have won. Now, I believe Akainu's definitely got stronger. Whether Garp has gone on the decline, I don't know. But back then, Garp's my winner.
I'm going to agree. I'm going for Garp. One of my favourite scenes in the anime is when Sengoku grabs Garp's face and smashes it to the ground. And I'll tell you why it's my favourite scene, because of what Garp says. If you let go of me, I'm going to kill that brat, Akainu. So do not let go of me. It was powerful. He told him, you better not let go of my face because I'm going to take him out completely. This was just after Akainu killed Ace. Garp's prowess developed from him being a D, him actually going through all the battles that he's been in. He, as an entity himself, has developed his own power level where he can do so many things. The feats he's done, obviously, that Serge just mentioned, and also the point where he's chucking cannonballs with his bare hands. He's hitting so many Devil Fruit users with the Fist of Love, and them not really understanding how he really, but again, after the context we understand his Boshika Haki, but his strength in itself, uncomparable at that point.
Just before we ask Rooklyn, I just want to, something I forgot to add. The only thing I will give Akainu, which he's demonstrated, is he's cunning, he's low, and he's a strategist.
Manipulative, yeah.
He's manipulative, like he would fight dirty.
Yeah.
Whereas Garp's personality is more just straight up direct.
Yeah.
You know what you're gonna get. It's just whether you're stronger than him. So that's another thing to add in there.
And you know what, you're right, because if we could go back into why they don't allow Garp to go on missions sometimes, it's because he's too reckless. And he's very destructive and reckless because he just doesn't care and he just wants to get the job done. What's one ship, what's two ships, let's take him out. But again, like you just said, Akainu is more, I am the absolute justice, I will do it my way. If you don't follow me, you'll get killed in the long run out of it.
Brooklyn?
Please.
So initially I was thinking about it, almost going through the conversation, such, and Vim mentioned a few important things in terms of what Haki can actually do for a user. I looked at Akainu and said, yeah, he's younger, must probably give Garp a little runabout. But ultimately, I think I'm going to go with Garp at the same sense as well, for the fact that he is a war veteran. He's been through it, he's got the experience, he's come across people similar. I'm not going to say Akainu is a scrub or anything like that. He's come across people like Akainu. He's dealt with the Rocks Pirates. Like, what hasn't he done?
The Pirate King, man.
He fought alongside the Pirate King, let's put it like that.
And with.
You know? Where I think Akainu would most probably fall is in his anger, his temperament. So that plays a massive part. You could be as strong as hell, but if you ain't got the right attitude to carry it through, someone who is as smart and direct as Garp will easily take lead of that. So your temper will ultimately bring up your downfall, and that's where I think Garp holds it, as well as being a master of Haki. So ultimately, I say Garp would have won it.
So you got 3-0. So we're all Team Garp here. What team are you? Please let us know in the comment section down below. If you disagree, let's chop it up. Let's debate. Let's go. Tell us who you think.
Tell us what we may have missed out. Bring us some of the feats of either one of them and tell you something that you guys feel like it can be relatable into the context of the war and the fight that they could have had. Let us know.
Also, comment on any other battles that you would find interesting. We would love to talk about them with you. We'll make a video just for you. If you haven't already,
smash that subscribe button. Leave a like if you like that video. Don't forget to share the video. Helps us out quite a bit.
But from Conqueror's Haki Corner, it is that time again.
Peace out.